Welcome, it's Senior Runner here, and today it's going to be a quick go through. I did say I was going to go through this, and I'm absolutely going to go through it. As usual, I've got my little cough from my meningitis that I had when I was 40, so I'm sorry about that. I can't get away with that. We started last Friday, and not yesterday, but the week before. I said I'd do one every week, trying to do it on a Saturday because Saturday's pretty good for me. It's the first day of work, and it's also Saturday and Saturday's two football lives. So we started with a benchmark, and the benchmark is basically just getting out there and doing a nice 5-minute slog as hard as you can. And I managed 7 minutes 18 on average. It was sort of going between sort of seven. Yeah, let's go to the chart. Yeah, we went from sort of 5 minutes 48 to about probably to about 5 minutes 48 to about 8 to about 8 minutes. So a lot of it was slower than 7:18. Just went off too quick. I know I shouldn't be doing that, and I should know better than that. But to go off, I'm disappointed in myself going off at 5:48. But I felt good, and I felt like I could possibly, for 5 minutes, I knew I'd slow down, but I was hoping to slow down to about 7.5 and get just about 7 minutes, 7 minutes dead for the average. So I was a little disappointed in the average, but heart rate was good. Maximum heart rate of 152, so I was quite happy with that. And I did get an anaerobic score. But a lot of it was high aerobic, which was sort of a little upsetting because I really wanted to try and certainly on the lead in and lead out to try and get a bit more low aerobic. I did get some low aerobic score. I do like to try and make it tough anaerobic, and then on either side warm up and cool down. I try and make sure we get a little bit low aerobic so that we can the heart rate is sort of finding a really big jump, and it's thinking, oh right, okay, I can calm down. Right, I guess get into this run. All right, calm down now. And it to me, that little bit, I recover really well. So if I go into a style that is very much like doing a low aerobic jog, I recover so well that I can then do, if we're doing sprints, I'm going to the next sprint quite well. So overall, I was quite happy with it. It's I would have liked a little bit quicker than that. I did relatively good, and then we go on to this week, and we started with a nice easy run. So let me go to Monday. And on Monday we did a nice easy run, and it's amazing. I like the easy runs on because we're using Garmin Connect app, and I've chosen my my coach, and he's got 9 minutes, and it's about 9 minutes and 5 to 10 minutes and 5 I've got to hit. So it's nice and I'd say pretty easy to hit. This was what sort of interval did we have? We had a 20-minute interval and a 15-minute extended interval. Did both of them, and actually had, if in the overview, a 93% execution score. So absolutely brilliant. And you can imagine my main problem with that, if I look at my charts, was the fact that I was slightly over, even in the warm up, because it's a 5-minute warm up. I think I was sort of really trying to get ready for that, trying to slot it in dead in the middle so I could try and get as high in the 90s as I could. And so I was just edging it a little bit too fast, and I hit the start of it a bit too fast. So like, I just got a couple of percent off there. And then there were a couple of bits in the middle where you go downhill, and I'm just thinking, I can't go slower. So 93 was pretty good because I do a figure of 8, and it's actually really, really interesting. I changed the 2 mile run to a figure of 8, and rather than be straight to the sea front, and then coming back with uh, an 8 mile, a 4 mile there, 4 mile back. This figure of 8 is absolutely amazing because it's really easy to do, and I find it really, really easy to. It's almost like you're not running very far because it's you're trying to do it and you're thinking, "Wow, I'm still close to home," and that's my first easy run. As you see it, it's pretty much spot on, 93% execution score. So I was quite happy with that. So we started off with the Monday easy run, and I'm always watching for the heart. Now this is I think this is interesting to show you because my heart rate does tend to raise up, even though I'm finding it easy. Even though I'm finding, I gave it a nice easy score as well, and it's still raised up. It still manages to go up. But whereas what used to, it's like 3 years ago, it to be going up to like 188, even on a sort of like when I'm going uphill, bang, 100, you'd be certainly getting to the 170s. And you see there, I'm on 157 maximum. Yeah, it's raising, but I'm not actually doing too bad. So I think the heart rate certainly it doesn't whack in the heart rate and say, "Oh God, he's running. Let's rise to the top." So my heart rate's more controlled. It's less sort of up and down. A lot of aerobic score there, 3.9. So I was reasonably happy with that. Did both of them. So the easy run went well. Then we get into the stride repeats. Now these are the ones that are there to say, we need to do a certain number of paces per minute. And I think it does. No, it doesn't actually tell me. Down here. It does. So I actually had my watch doing. So I've got the 245. So the Garmin 245 together with my Garmin app, and of course I'm trying to get the actual peaks. Now, if you zoom in, it's because like I'll show you it zoomed out, because if you look at it zoomed out, it looks pretty much in. You can't really work out what they are. So but if you actually zoom in and use your fingers like that, you can actually see that the peaks were pretty much spot on. So I've got it beeping on about one. For me there, I've got it beeping on about 180 per minute. Yeah, so 180 paces a minute. And it gets me in at about 7 minutes 14, 7 minutes 10 per mile. And they were all pretty much, in fact, you can see there the green before. And this is where I keep telling people, because Garmin manages to average out the pace you're doing, and it averages out the number of the cadence as well as you're going along, so that it's not jumping up and down frantically. But because it averages it out over short sprints like that, anything like, you can get 20-second sprints. You can't do that 20-second sprint. Your watch is feeding information to Garmin, and Garmin is averaging it, because otherwise it'd be jumping up and down. But because that means if you started right go and you're doing a 20-second sprint, you get 5 seconds, 10 seconds into that before you look at your watch and you see that you're going too fast. but you don't, because it immediately tells you after 5 seconds how fast you're going, but it doesn't. It tells you the backwards. It averages out the backward, so like 5, 10 seconds backwards, or 5 seconds backwards. So if you start dead on 0 seconds, it tells you you're doing 14, 15, 16 minutes per mile, which you're clearly not. So I always say, like, try and run as close to what you're thinking you need to do, pace or speed wise, before it. So that on that one I showed you, it had green before the this is your target pace, your target cadence. And that's because I've tried to get that cadence right with the beeping of the watch 5 seconds before. And then when I hit it and it says go for your next lap, 5 seconds later, it then says you're doing about 180 pet cadence, because I've clearly been doing it before it's in that section where it's averaging it out. And that's why that I showed you that, because you can actually see that I do try and do what I say. 5 seconds before, get off there, do a bit of a jog. And I've noticed now it's slightly more. I don't know whether they've changed it, but now it's gone. 5 seconds used to be okay. Now it's about 5 or 6 seconds. So do be careful, because I think they've changed it, and that's a little bit annoying, but it's worth it, because then you get a proper speed or cadence 5 seconds, 6 seconds in when you look at your watch, and you can change it in the next sort of, you can slightly up or slightly down it a little, hopefully not too much, and you can get your score okay. But that's the other thing they've done there, is I look at stride repeats. They've removed the score. They've actually removed the score. Probably because they're so short, they could give you a score, but the averages don't help you in short distances. So with short, sort of 20 seconds, 30 seconds runs, they seem to have taken away your score. And I think it's because if you can't really, as a runner, we've all been complaining on Facebook and to Garmin, saying we can't do it, because you're not letting us adjust it quick enough, because it's averaging it over 5 seconds. So that said, we go on, because that's stride repeats. And then on the 21st, we did long, easy runs. On Wednesday, nice long, easy run. Wow, this is nice. Again, it's 9 minutes 10 to 10 minutes 10. And I'm thinking, yeah, we can do this easy. What score did I get? 82% on this. And if I look at the charts, where did we go? Funny, I went too quick downhill again, which was a bit annoying. So I went straight into the start of it going downhill, and I was like 7 minutes 49 going down the hill, and of course I'm trying to hit 9:10 to 10:10, so I was like really annoying. So I started off for the first down that hill's probably at half a mile, a little bit too quick. And that really did, when you're trying to, when I'm trying to keep that pace up, you can see that. I mean, if I just do that, you can see how I started nice and quick, a little bit too quick, and then I've gone really, really quite well. The drops are when I cross main roads, because on this occasion I went to the seafront, and you can see how it sort of gets. I'm really controlling it well for through quite a way, and then when we were starting to get to the end, you've got a couple of really big main roads down here, and it gets a little bit more difficult. So that was a bit, and somebody tried stopping me to talk to me for some really, like, I think at some point, which is where that last little dip is just there. But this is the good point of averaging, you see. So here, where you stop for 2 seconds, say, no, I can't, I'm carrying on. It doesn't just drop down to zero. At least it drops down to like 10 minutes 30, but it's averaging out, and it's a lot better. It's only when you actually stop at a road and it's like, I'm going to be here 20 seconds while I try and get across the road. I have to stop. That you sort of leave. I always leave the watch running because um, I've noticed that the timer keeps going. And when you're on laps, be very careful. If you think, oh, let's just have a bigger rest. I'm on my rest break, click, and you pause it on here. There's a mismatch between it causes a mismatch, or it used to cause a mismatch last year, where your timer will say you're okay to go now, but the beep will have gone. So 20 seconds. If you've had a 20-second break, your beep will start 20 seconds ago, and it'll start averaging it straight away 20 seconds ago on time without the pause. But your watch is saying go 1, 2, 3 seconds, So there's a mismatch of where the Garmin was actually measuring it from and where it was showing you were on your watch. And you get to the end and it goes beep, 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 beep. So you finished it and you haven't finished it on your watch. You're still the amount of break you've had left to run on your watch, but it's just beep that you finished. So that was an error on Garmin's point that I like to make sure if you're doing one of their runs like that one, and you think, let's just take a little bit of an extra break, it's very, very difficult because it's certainly used to, whether the new versions are any different, but it's certainly used to stop you and say, oh, no, you can't do that. I'll show you it being different on your watch. You've had 20-minute breaks, so I'll lengthen the 20-minute break on your watch. But when you get to your data and your analyses and your lap times are skewed because your lap times are now adding up that 20-second break that you had, and your pace has just dropped through the floor because it's not seen it as being a break, because somehow it doesn't. So be very careful with that. Again, just to show you, heart rate, quite usual, start off nice and low, finish nice and high. Well, in this case, reasonably high at 168. So that longer run for me seems to be pulling up the heart rate. 168 is quite high for me after I've managed to bring it down from the 180s 3 years ago to sort of like 160s, and now to do 168. As you can see there, it's finishing on 168, but not. I mean, the average is 150, so the line's 150, and I think that's not bad. But as you get towards the last 15 minutes of this 1.5 hour run, we're just starting to see the heart rate sort of peak and push up. However, that is uphill. So if we actually look at that backwards, that's the start. It starts rising as I start going uphill. So it's as if it just thinks, on flat, I'm okay. On flat, it seems to sort of level off at a reasonable figure, just about 150 odd. But then it sort of runs up with the as soon as I hit the first of two hills coming back home, it just rises me up. So that was quite good. And I did get some anaerobic score, which was probably the fact that I'm doing uphill, pushing it, trying to keep within that 9 to 10 9:10 to 10:10 gap. So that was quite good. And then after a long, easy run, we went in on 22nd to do on there. We did another an easy run rather than a long, easy run. So a long run broke down to an easy run. Again, it's sort of 9:10 to 10. It's 9:10 to 10:10. So roughly the line on here is 9.5 minutes. So that's. I'll give you the average. Oh, I thought we had an average on here. Oh yeah, 90% on target. So that was quite good. 9 minutes 37, 9 minutes 38 for the averages of me um, running. Yeah, so I was quite happy with that. The only thing I was like disappointed with, because this is only how long this was. I've forgotten now. It's only 4.5 mile, whereas the long run was about 9.5. So it's only 4.5. It's sort of, yeah, 4.54 miles, 90%. But when you look at the chart, um, I think you see it's quite erratic. So I'm trying to, I purposely put it in my head to try and keep an eye on the watch, three or four strides, have a quick glance, 3 or 4 strides, just keep glancing at where the little white arrow was on the white segment was on the green line, to make sure we sort of, well, are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? And I think that sort of didn't help. I think I need to stop looking at the watch, because I just wanted to try and make sure I was I wanted to be really, really clever, if you like, and get straight in the middle of that percentage. But I think it caused more issues than it did good, because as you can see, I mean, if I go turn it that way, yeah, whoops, yeah, you can get back. You can see it going up and down, and in segments as well. So it's uh, yeah, and that's because it's in segments because of that lapse, that sort of 5 second averaging that it does. So I didn't do too bad. As you can see, at the end, we did some little zone two running, just trying to get some nice steady zone two. Yeah, sometimes a little bit quicker, sometimes a bit slower, just to push this it up and down in the middle of the zone two. And it worked really well. And I've done some really good zone two running. Again, the heart rate went well. So that's not maxed out at about 145. So I'm sort of reasonably happy on that. Reasonably happy. Again, they were all the others were straight to the seafront. The easy runs, both of those easy runs are in this figure of 8 locally, and I feel so happy that I found this local figure of 8. You'd never run far from the house, and I just feel that it's a 2 mile figure of 8, and you do it twice. You don't feel like you've done the same distance as running to the seafront, but it's exactly the same distance. It's just really weird. Mentally, it just gets you thinking. There's a video on here. If you want to go and have a look at it, about should I change my route? And I changed that. I did that figure of 8. I was absolutely astonished that mentally the difference doing a figure of 8 when you could have done a bloody big run is ridiculous. Yeah, to the seafront and back. And you're thinking, well, to the seafront for 4, it's just 2 laps of the figure of 8, or to the seafront. I'd rather 2 laps of here, but it's the same. It's really weird. So then it sneaks in on Friday, the final run of the week, which is for me it was 5.2 miles. It was speed repeats. Now, instead of doing cadence, it does speed. It's a little bit difficult because it's 1 minute bursts for 7. Do 7-minute miles for 1 minute, 6 lots, and then you do 6 lots of 6-minute miles for 30 seconds. So 6 lots at 1 minute, and then 6 lots at 30 seconds, because it's a minute per mile quicker. Now, this is actually really difficult when you're sprinting to work out how, because you can't look at the watch. It's really quite useless looking at the watch, because it's so small that you can look at it and see where the line is, but because it's averaging it, you like suddenly flick forward, or you suddenly flick. and it'll go whoosh and whoosh, and you're thinking, "Oh, I can't get this in the middle. It's bloody impossible." So it makes it difficult, certainly on the 30-second one, to really get it in the middle. So I learned the last time I did it last year that when you get to this stage, you've got to try. Certainly, when you get to the sort of 30 seconds one and unders, you've just got to try and see, right, okay, 7 minutes. I knew from my cadence running at the beginning of the week that 180 cadence was about 7 minutes and 10, 7 minutes 15. So a little bit slower than I needed to be, but and I've got this sort of 180s 3 per second. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I got that quite well. So I just did that, and I wasn't too far off. But obviously I'm slightly slower because I know 180 is just a little bit out, because it only gives you a 20-second gap. So it's not a really big gap to hit, and 7:15 is just outside it. But then my guess for the 5 minute, the 5 minute 50 to 6 minutes 5, or 6 minutes 10, 6 minutes 10 is a little bit more, finger in the air, because and then next time I'll try and use what cadence did I do to hit that particular speed. But I mean, I managed to get 35%, which they call average. So I got 35% score, but then the actual intervals, I'm trying to do 7 minutes. I did 6:53, 6:54, 7:01, 6:57, 6:43. I think so, up to 12, isn't it? And 6:55. And so I didn't do bad as an average for the first 6, but then trying to hit 6 minutes for the next lot, I did. In fact, I was a bit quicker actually there, weren't I? So I went, So I actually went quicker. I did try and lengthen the stride to try and make it a bit less, a bit more in the middle. So I didn't actually go slower. I went slightly quicker. And then when I went in to try and do 6, I had no idea where I was going. I was trying to do 4 strides per second, making it sort of 204, 230, 240 per minute cadence. So I'm trying to hit 6 minutes, and it's got 6:15, 6:06, 6:16, 5:59, 5:55, 5:56. So that's actually not bad. I was actually on average better in the faster one, where I was thinking it's somewhere around 4 strides per second. So why did I get such a? I would say it says average, but why was it so low on the score? And actually, if you look at the first 4 for 7 minutes, it's not far off, is it? That first one over here is a little. I started too quick, and I actually it caught me out, and I didn't have that 5 seconds. See, I didn't start 5 seconds early, and that's what you get. It just thinks you're going really too slow at the beginning when you're not. You've actually started straight as it wants you to. And then so you see the last 2 of the 7 minutes I thought were quite reasonable, and then you start this 5-minute one, which I thought was quite close. And I'll give you a 4, but we're not far off. We're certainly not far off. You see how I actually was running concentrating so much that I'd run, and hang on a minute. I think we're on the cool down. Shit, yeah, we are. So so I actually ended up, and you can see by that one there that I actually started 5 seconds early on that one, and then I'm a little bit slower, so I speeded up a bit, and then again I'm running, and I forgot that we'd actually finished and we're on a cool down. So overall, I was actually quite happy with that. I was very happy with it, and actually did rather well. Going into it, going into it, we did a zone two running over here. So this side we did zone two running. On the other side, we did a little bit more. I tried to do a aerobic running, but start off nice and steady, and then just quickly build it up to finish quicker. And that's the sort of look I wanted. I wanted a nice, gentle rising to finish at about, I finished at about 8 minutes, 11, 8 minutes, probably about 8 minutes per mile finishing. So that's what I wanted. I planned what I was going to do, and I did it, and I was quite happy with it. I mean, heart rate, well, what can you say? I think that's quite good. To do sprint intervals and to get 164 when I was getting that going uphill doing the long run, I thought that's a damn good heart rate for doing such vigorous exercise, especially at my age. Um, what sort of? I mean, we got some good scores as well on aerobic and anaerobic, 3.9 and 3. And I think that's 3.0 for anaerobic, 3.9 for aerobic. I think that was actually quite good. The elevation is a bit naff because I start at one point and I finish at the same point. And it's only on the school field down the road, so it's not very far. And I go, and I start at one. It's not got the elevation right. It really hasn't. You appear to start. I appear to start 41 meters above sea level, and I finish on 37. So somehow I'm going around that field. I appear to have lost about 5 or 6 meters. I'm not quite sure how. So it's been a good week. Overall, enjoyed it. I've managed to keep some a good a good percentage on the long runs. So I like to keep really as near to that sort of range they give you for the long runs. The sprints are a little bit more difficult. I like to look at things like I just showed you then, and if it's got, I mean, like that 30 odd 34% accuracy, but you can see it's going up and down. Well, usually up and down one curve, where you've got to a line where you're trying to hit that average in the middle. So I might not be spot on in that 20-second range that they're giving me, but I'm bloody close, and I'm in it for. I'm either in it or just outside of it, so I'm not way away from it. And while ever I'm not way away from it, I'm happy because that means that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm doing it relatively correctly for the right sort of chunks of time. And I think that's been a really good week. We started off with a sort of pretty confident green confident circle there to say we're quietly confident. The only thing is that I have a moan about is so I stood by the internet just now and tried to get the Garmin Coach front screen on, and from there I've got the best telephone coverage as well, and all I get is that, always getting that. I don't seem to be able to get into the Garmin Coach. That is annoying. There are some good videos, but I remember I've seen them before. I've seen them last year and the year before. I shouldn't really be bothered, but I enjoy listening to him, and it's a good little set of hints and pushing, motivational videos, if you like. So it's been good. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully, I'll do another one next week, and the people that turned up can tell me what they think to it. Because I think, to all those that have turned up, thanks. Do like and subscribe. Uh, if you like and subscribe and you do it from this video, then I know exactly how many people are subscribing from a runner's point of view and how many are subscribing from a football point of view, because it is actually quite important that I try and make sure I've got videos to suit both types of sports. Hell, if I introduce another sport, then I'm certainly going to have to make sure I know who's supporting what. So, had a good week. We start again on Monday, and hopefully by this time next week, we'll be coming back, because Saturday, Sunday is my rest day, because my work week starts Saturday morning. So, I've just had my first work day of the week on my work day. So, we will be back here on Saturday, and we'll go through the training for that week that's just going to come, and let's see how it goes. But at the minute, it's just another long run on Wednesday, a couple of short runs, and then we've got stride repeats, and I think it's another sprint as well next week. But yeah, the only downside at the minute is the fact that Garmin Coach just doesn't seem to be. I keep getting the old running man, even when I've got full internet and full telephone coverage. So, we'll keep with that, and we'll keep trying it. I think the only downside to me really is that, like on the really 20-second intervals, they've took away your percentage, the percentage score of how spot on you were within that small tolerance they've given you, because 20 seconds isn't enough to be able to, with the Garmin watch having such a long sort of 5-second averaging time. It never was possible to hit that small gap that they try and get you to hit over such a 20-second running period, and they've removed it from the score. They've removed the score now from anything that's under 30 seconds. They've removed the score from. Perhaps they should have, instead of doing that, perhaps they should have said, we'll give you a function to drop the 5-second averaging and make it a 2-second averaging, so that, it is going to go up and down more, but it's not bloody, you're going to get a realistic prompt after a couple of seconds, rather than waiting 5 seconds and having it tell you you're doing a walking pace when you're clearly not. You're clearly running. So that's my only gripe, and that's not with the training. That's with the watch and the way it averages out your speed and your cadence, everything, and your heart rate as well is the same. I'm sure you've seen it. You run off really quick, and you, hang on, I'm getting a bit too high, so you stop, and your heart rate carries on, going up, and the leg comes back down again. So it's a watch thing. It isn't a training thing. So I don't want to concentrate on that. It's really about the training. Had a really good week. And I do seem to be doing well with the training, on plan, on target. So I've got a couple of one other gripe I'll mention next week. And we'll see because I want to see how it works out over the following 7 days. So we'll see what happens. And thanks for everybody coming in. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you, Cedar Runner, signing out for another week. And we'll see you next week.